Welcome to Worship Tutorials.
What's up?
AMPS edition.
WT AMPS.
This is not a digital modeling device.
No.
We're going to call this the mother of all Marshall amps. This is the Friedman BE-100 Deluxe.
The classy sucker.
I'll just say this up front. If you love Marshall amps, but you want something that's super versatile and it can give you all the Marshall tones,
yeah,
you should buy one of these.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna.
They're
pay
expensive.
For it. Yeah, but this is like Marshalls. Like when you think about the traditional Marshalls, aren't channel switching.
No, this is a 3-channel
amp.
Before we get going, now we do have to tell you up front, we do have presets and captures based on this amplifier. Links for all that below. Available for Line 6 products, Fractal, Quad Cortex, Tonex, Kemper, among others. If new stuff comes out, all that linked below. Bradford and I were, as we were dialing it in, unprovoked. You were like, "This feels like I'm just playing the Tonex."
Oh, it felt exactly the same. This morning we demoed these patches
based on this amp,
and I used the board that we got sitting here on the floor. And there's a King Tone Duelist on it, which is like a blues breaker and a tube screamer. And I was just checking levels and sounds and all, and it's like the exact same experience. The amp is mic'd up in the other room. We're using our, it's like the mother of all cabs also. We said this is mother of all Marshalls, but it's a 1982 B.
Marshall 1982B.
It's got these
We're not running this through an aux box.
No. This is mic'd up in the other room with our 121 and an SR25. That's kind of our favorite combo.
With all of our presets and things, we've always wanted, like with the Tone Match Gen 2 stuff we do, what we really want to do is give you guys, if you're playing the digital stuff, give you the experience of playing the amp. The BE-100 Deluxe is a 3-channel amp. We're going to start on the clean channel.
I mean, look at all those knobs.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of switches on the back, too.
It's intimidating.
We'll talk about them. But we're in the clean channel right now, and we've sort of got it dialed in. Bradford's got a 594, a Les Paul-shaped object from PRS. It sounds great. Let's hear what it sounds like. No effects, straight into the amp.
Got it. Hot dang.
That sounds real good. My voice even broke.
Amps, there's something special about an amp this size.
Yeah, so let's kind of go through the options here on the clean channel. Now, on the front panel, you've got a bright switch. It has 3 positions. That side is sort of almost brightest. Almost
side.
brightest. In the middle is the darkest, and this side, toward me, I am the brightest. Bradford's almost brightest. Middle is...
That checks out.
Middle is... Just...
Brian's got 4 degrees. I barely have 1, so it makes sense.
In the middle is the darkest. So why don't we do... So we've kind of got the amp dialed in. It's... I guess it'll break... It's going to break up a little bit when you hit on the bridge pickup, right?
Especially with humbuckers, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
something there.
And the gain is here around... I don't know, 2 or 3, somewhere in there. Bass, middle, treble are all pretty neutral, which is really cool because like on a Marshall Plexi, like a 100-watt Plexi, we have a 100-watt Super 100. You got to turn the bass way down and the treble way up, and especially on the normal channel, it's super dark. This starts out at a much more usable.
Dave Friedman fixed the amp. Some people would say that's the charm, but it gets to the point where you can't always use it. So.
Yeah, so, I'll kind of toggle through the bright switches real quick and show you what they do. My preference is pointed at Bradford.
Yep, you want to give me some junk about not being the brighter one, but you prefer me, so.
I do. Yes, so...
All right, those are cheesy jokes.
Yeah, so, and this is, you're hearing humbuckers. Now, this guitar, these are high clarity pickups, right? But
they're still a humbucker, though.
Type pickups,
so, for that to be bright, can you imagine that with a Strat?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's why you have the dark settings.
You can take it to the dark side.
The other thing you have on the back of the amplifier is a fat switch. You have a fat switch for the clean and for the dirt channel. And all this stuff is foot switchable. The channels are. So we've actually been hearing the fat switch engaged. So let's go to Bradford setting for bright. And I'll turn the fat switch off It's off now, and then I'll turn it on and off. Finally, let's kind of go through how much gain can you get out of the clean channel, because it'll break up a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't really. That's why you got other channels. But you know, here we go.
When we gained it up, I mean, you got this nice classic crunch out of it.
It's not, but like I find that like when you use a heavier channel to be clean, it just kind of sounds anemic, right?
Yeah,
Because like it's not what it's designed to do. So it's like the clean channel, sure, but you're like, oh, that doesn't sound clean. Well, it's like just use it as channel 1, as your bass tone or whatever. But there's something about those cleans that sound like a Marshall, but they're also a little tighter and punchier than. So I mean, you're like getting more out of Marshall than you would on a straight Marshall.
Yeah.
But it also can channel switch. So this amp is like, you're able to do more with this thing than you would with just one Marshall. So
well, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
So the other thing that happened is when I turned up the gain a ton. One thing is it didn't like fall apart and it didn't get super bassy.
Nope.
Which can happen often. But I flipped it over to the brightest setting on the bright switch.
It wasn't bad then.
And it worked.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't bad.
Last thing on the clean channel, I'll kind of bring it back to where we started. Let's hear it with some effects.
Okay.
So we're running a board straight in. You can't see the board. Let me tell you quickly what's on it. We have a Rev tilt boost, a tilt drive, actually, the dual one, the dualist, and then we've got some delay and reverb via the Line 6 DL4 Mark II, Boss RV 500. There's a UA Max compressor. Are we going to use compression with this?
I'm not gonna.
Let's just go straight in. And then there's a UA Astra and a Line 6 HX1. So we might hear some modulation. We'll definitely hear some drive, maybe some reverb, delay.
Yeah.
It's up to Bradford.
Yeah. Well, dealer's choice. Now, I will say, anybody who's actually going to want to like get the most out of this amp is not going to run wet effects into the front.
Yeah, if you're channel switching,
it's because
you're setting yourself
we'll show
up
you,
for
but
some...
it's not gonna.
Yeah,
it's gonna just like your effects are just gonna like be there and then they're gonna be gone. There's no like lovely trail offs with so much gain. So
there is an effects loop in this amp. We're not using it in this video, but it exists. So if you want to use it that way,
but the sound of like humbuckers with the heavy hands, the blues breaker.
Is that what you turned on for the drive?
Yeah,
the
but then into this like Plexius thing, it's like.
It's cool.
It's a cool sound. But, you know, if you have this, maybe you won't be doing that. Probably channel switching, but...
So, speaking of, let's go to the BE channel, which is the first stage dirt channel.
More rhythm is what I would say.
Yeah. If you want to, you can look up what BE and HBE means. We're not going to repeat it here, Dave Friedman. Okay. It's as you described earlier in the video we made on the presets. It's the
brown sound. The name fits appropriately.
Quickly, I'll describe how this works. So you've got gain 1, gain 2. Gain 1 is BE. Gain 2 is HBE. So we're going to show you the BE channel. So it's just one. Then you've got bass, middle, and treble are shared between BE and HBE. Then you've got Master 1, Master 2. Again, that's Master for the BE and Master for the HBE. Then you've got presence, and then you've got this thump control. The thump control is like it's appropriately named. It's thump.
I don't even think they would be able to really gather what's going on through the microphones.
Yeah.
It adds like bass, but without it being warm. It like literally is like, funny enough, there's a setting in the Axe effects that you can add for like, well, they call it something else, but it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
It adds like thud.
Yeah.
And like it gives you like this like a speaker's like punching in. Honestly, if you are playing in a mix, you probably wouldn't want that anyways, because it's just adding extra low end.
You stand in front of the cab and
It's awesome.
You can feel it. So, and speaking of Axe effects, like all the major modeling platforms have a BE of some sort. There's been a few iterations of them over the year. So, and then you've got controls over here where you can change the frequency of the thump, and the response of the thump.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Can we crank the thud up or the thump?
The thump. Let's crank it up. Yeah. It added low end, like it kind of got a little muddy at the cranked.
But yeah, we could barely tell, and we have
can hear some low end. Yeah,
yeah.
And we're listening through some serious studio monitors.
Yeah, I don't. So think you're not gonna, unless you're standing right in front of it. It's not gonna.
You're not gonna hear it on your phone. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Wear some headphones.
So I like to keep the thump and these toggles at sort of neutral. They're both 3-ways. So, I mean, you can change the frequency and the response of the thump. I just set them in the middle and set it straight up, and it works for me. So, we'll kind of do that moving forward. But, that's channel volume. We want to leave that where it is. Or system volume, rather. So, yeah, this thing has, 4 different controls for essentially output level. You've got gain, volume, actually 3, and then system volume. So, system volume is the overall thing. All right, let's hear the BE channel. So we're gained up. Actually, we'll start around noon, and then the master is also at noon, and then the bass, middle, and treble are sort of all around 5 and 6. It's a pretty neutral setting. Sounds like this. So it's like your classic crunch. You can kind of get clean on the BE channel as well if you pull the master and the gain back. But like you're saying, you lose.
It's like
loses power.
Yeah.
You got a clean channel. Right. You also heard me messing with the voice knob. Again, it's another treble kind of a shift, right?
And yes, I was playing that one AC/DC song, but I've never played it before, so I was coming up with it on the spot.
The one AC/DC song? All right, so we're getting a lot of hiss there from the amp.
That makes sense.
But, yeah, now there's more on the back. We have a fat switch, which has been on the whole time. So I'll turn it off, and then we'll kind of set it back where we had that classic sort of crunch tone, maybe right in here. And I'll mess with the fat switch. The other thing that there is back here is a gain structure switch. You can already hear what it's like. There's more gain coming now.
Yeah.
And so it's in the up. It has a 3-way toggle. I'll sort of run through these toggles on the back. And then there's a switch called saturation. And there is a C45 switch right here as well. So the C45... it changes the aggression level of the amplifier. So first, let's do the fat switch on and off. Fat switch added a lot.
It does.
Oomph.
Yeah, it's more noticeable there. On the clean, it wasn't as intense, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, we're dealing with more gain.
Yep.
So a lot of times these things get more prominent with more gain. You probably heard that on your cell phone speaker.
I'll probably.
All right. So the next thing I'll turn. So the fat switch is off. C45 is off, and I'll turn it on. To me, like, if you turn that on, you're getting more of like a modern hot-rodded Marshall kind of a sound. Versus off would be more of like a vintage type of a sound.
Like if you were, one reason you may consider using that is if you were running like some pretty scooped Strat pickups.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If you threw that on, it would kind of like bring more mids back. It wouldn't be as intense.
Yeah.
Whereas something like this, these are going to have a little more mids comparison to me than us.
Yeah.
So like doing that, it's kind of like I didn't like that as much. I mean, we could tweak things, but it's practical usage.
Yeah, so we've got, what else do we have back here? There's a gain structure switch.
It's like the Barney bag.
The gain structure switch is up.
And we found a lot of things.
I don't know this.
Gizmos and gadgets. Odds
is this
and
from
ends.
Barney?
Yes, because I've had
purple dinosaur?
I had like siblings my whole life,
Yes.
so something was always on.
Okay, gain structure is up. I don't exactly know what's going to happen in the middle and down, but I'll let you know this way where we are.
All right.
If I remember correctly, because I did before we captured this amp, I read through the manual several times. So it's like, what does all this do? And if I remember correctly, I'll subtitle it on the screen because I can refer to it back during the edit. I'm fairly sure that it says it changes the way the gain responds in the amp. Up and down felt like more gain than middle to me.
But you can actually hear that. A lot of these switches, the middle is like the neutral.
Is neutral.
Or something. Yeah, so that's why it was weird because I felt like down and up felt... Yeah, top was a little more abrasive.
Yeah.
Like a little brighter and like more high mids.
I heard that.
Like, but the bottom added some more mids.
Yeah.
And then the middle felt to be a little more flat.
Yeah, I'd agree with that assessment.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Bradford and I's tone ears are often... We've aligned ourselves over the years.
For better or for worse.
Creating all
People
these
buy
things.
our stuff, so I guess our ears are good.
All right, finally there's a saturation switch. And after we demo this, we'll run some effects.
Wait, what were you just messing with?
That was the gain structure switch. Now there's saturation, which is just off, down and up. So it's down. And I think with this, when you turn the saturation up, if I remember correctly, the level of volume will drop. So I'll probably try and compensate for that. Here's down saturation. So yeah, when I was like really experimenting with this amp, I was not a huge fan personally of the saturation on.
Yeah,
I mean,
it wasn't as dramatic to me, but I just didn't. Yeah, it just felt a little.
It compresses more. I mean, it's like it's just more saturated. So
and more saturated typically results in more compression.
Yeah, and I like things a little more open. I mean, it just kind of depends on what you're going for, feel-wise.
Saturation and like compression feels really nice under the fingers.
Yes, it does.
But typically, when you listen back to something that feels good under the fingers, it typically doesn't sound as good. There's always exceptions, but
All right, so why don't we hear it with some effect? Like, what does it sound like when you push it with some drive or something? So we are sort of in the vintagey neutral setting. C45 is off, gain structure is in the middle, saturation is off, and then we just got like a nice classic crunch tone. Sorry, I was cutting you off. What were you about to say?
Nothing.
I said drives, and you were like, "Ooh, I don't know."
See how it sounds with effects into the front, because that's something I don't, and I'm not even going to turn drive on yet. I'm interested to hear this. So like the delay repeats were louder, and then they just disappeared.
Yeah, a cleaner amp would have been more subtle.
Put us back on the clean channel real quick, because this is the same setup. So here's that. But you can hear them.
They
more.
last longer.
They trail off more beautifully.
Yeah, and here's BE. Yeah.
You hear it like step down. It's not as
Yeah.
I don't know. We've got maybe it's confirmation bias, but here's some drive too.
I mean, that's cool.
It sounded good, but why would we do that when we could just go?
Well, we could go more gain.
Channel 3.
Channel 3. Okay. All the switches in the back that we just went through apply to channel 3 as well. The HBE. It's just a... Yeah, these two channels are linked. One's just more gain, right? So here it is. We're going to HBE. So now the gain and master 2 will come into effect. So actually what I'll do, I'll set gain and master right around noon for each one, or the same for each one. And we'll go from BE to HBE so you can sort of hear the jump. So right now we're on BE, and then I'll flip it when you start playing.
All right.
I mean, that
was fun.
That sound is awesome.
It is.
Like it's voiced perfectly. Like, you don't need to change the EQ when you go from BE to HBE. Like, and this is all foot switchable too. Like, it's just bigger gain.
Yeah, I
It's
think
great.
Using that much gain though with drive pedals ends up causing way more compression, and you lose clarity.
Oh, if you're doing it in drive,
like if you were trying
with
to
drives. Yeah.
replicate, like if you wanted something that felt and sounded that good, it's very difficult in a pedal. Like there's like this whole fascination with getting an amp in a box, not like the UA amp pedals or an Iridium or whatever, but like a drive pedal. It's typically from Marshalls too, right?
Yeah.
A drive pedal that sounds like a Plexi or like a JCM 800 or some big sound, and it's just not quite the same. And it's like it still can. It's people still use them. It still can.
Oh yeah.
But like that sound,
it's so cool.
It's a very cool sound, and it's like nice and tight and like not too compressed, but it's not flubby either. It's very nice.
Yeah. Do you want to like hit it with like a screamer and see what it does? It's gonna be awesome.
I'm sure.
All right, I flipped us to the clean channel just so we didn't have behind us.
Okay.
So I'll go. Yeah. All right. Back to the HBE channel. You can hear that we're there now. I wanted to hear a tube screamer because tube screamers often will tighten things up.
Yeah. Well, it's gain. Like, I'm not a metal guy, but like they'll throw that into the front of an amp.
Yeah.
Volume all the way up, gain all the way down, and tone to taste, and it really like it suits. Like it does that very well.
It's almost like a mastering EQ on your amp.
Yeah, sure.
For a mix, right? I think before we wrap on this video, we should. I want to hear you play like a part or a piece or something. Yeah, write a song right now while I finish saying this. And I'm going to switch the channels on the amp. So we'll use the amp for our gain stage.
Yes, and we set up the effects loop because we were talking about that. Yeah. It's a lot more pleasing.
And that's how people are going to probably use effects with an amp like this.
Because you can't, and you'll hear, I mean, the second we turned it on, it was like, that's more better.
Yeah.
Like everything's more, and that's how you kind of do things, and you prefer to do things in like modeler territory.
Yeah, a lot of times I like wet effects after, especially on a channel switching amp.
Oh, yeah. But like anything with high gain, but even still, you do it for a lot of things. I like everything into the front, but I also don't run my amps that gnarly. and dirty. You like amps a little hotter too.
So yeah, we've got the Line 6 DL4 and the Boss RV500 in the effects loop.
That's it. And the guitar's going straight into the amp. So
guitar's
we're not
right into the front.
using anything else right now.
Yeah, so Bradford's going to have to yell at me while we're playing because we got some volume coming at us.
Yes.
I'm going to switch the channels. So we'll start with clean, then we'll go to BE, then HBE.
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you know. We'll put it on the screen what we're doing. All right. Let me know. That was great.
I'm
sold on effects loops now.
I feel very unqualified to demo an amp like this, but
yeah, I mean we're not like modern rock guys.
I hope it just helps people like understand that an amp that's super flexible like this can be used by anybody, not just some really sick nasty players that I am not. We are.
Yeah, like Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters uses one.
He uses one of these.
Phil X has a Friedman signature now, but I think he probably used to use these. And
yeah,
the list of rock star guitar players who use the BE-100 is long.
Yeah, give me an HC30 with the big sky, and I'm happy.
All right, Bradford. One more thing before we go, can we switch?
Yeah.
Can you sit here and channel switch this thing, and I'll play something?
Okay.
I'm less qualified, but I want to have a go. So I think the answer here is I need to take this with me to church, along with the 412 and all the mics.
Oh yeah, definitely that.
And Bradford to switch the channels for me.
That's if only there was some device you could use.
Oh yeah, there's a foot switch.
I was really thinking the Helix too.
Oh yes. Or
I'm just kidding.
The Helix, which also has a model of this amp in it, and sounds remarkably close.
Yes, it does.
Especially with our Tone Match Gen 2 IR presets. Here's the question: do you want more amp content at Worst Tutorials? Do you want us to make the tubes glow orange? You can't see them.
You could fry an egg on top of the heat that's being emitted.
If you do, let us know.
Or at least warm up a chocolate chip cookie.
You could. Oh, that sounds delicious. It's getting close to dinner time. Yeah, let us know. Comment below. Have you ever played a Friedman BE-100? I do have a story to tell as we close. Shortly after I received this amplifier, Bradford was visiting here in Birmingham.
Yes.
So we set up the big old stereo pedal board.
Oh, yes.
And it was over there in the corner of that room. And so the Marshall Super 100 has two 412 cabinets that come with it. So
stacked together, it's taller than me. So
it's like 7 feet tall.
Yes.
So we had the Super 100, the Marshall Super 100 on the left through its 412, the Friedman BE-100 on the right through the other 412, stereo pedal board into the front.
It was way loud.
It's the loudest thing I've
ever
heard in my
insane.
life.
Like, I couldn't even play Like you had to like baby it.
Yeah.
You couldn't actually hit a full on massive
You
chord.
started like just,
And it was loud as it
and
is.
it was loud. And then I think you turned on like just like a low gain drive and just barely went. And it was like
Nope.
done.
Nope,
We're done.
nope.
It sounded glorious, but it was.
And if that makes me a wuss, so be it.
it was so loud.
I would like to be able to hear.
That's
So,
right. That's important.
Yes.
Especially for what we do. Subscribe if you haven't.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Yep.
Bye bye.
Yep.